Today's topic is going to be about the moon and how it affects our emotions, our feelings, and the energies that the moon contains. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of the moon making people crazy. Don't go out because
maniacs are out on full moon nights.
why that is, how the effects of the moon can have an effect on us, what that's all about. If you think about the moon, another name for the moon is lunar, and it's not too far off from the word loony, like Looney Tunes, loony bin, or lunacy, which is another word for crazy. If you're wondering where the word lunacy, Looney Tunes, a lunatic, if you're wondering where those words come from, the root of that word comes from lunar, from the moon. And the reason why is because the moon is known to have effects on your mental health and on how you act and how you feel from day to day. And so it really is good to pay attention to moon cycles. There's lots of downloadable apps. I have a free app on my phone. I keep up with moon cycles. And if you're a female, you should be keeping up with moon cycles anyways, because they do have an effect on your menstrual cycle. If you've seen my subsequent videos, you know that
Everything's energy.
including planets, the moon, the sun, all of those contain energy. The sun obviously is one of the biggest known contributors of energy, right? We know it gives off light energy, heat energy. We know it gives off energy for pretty much almost all life on Earth. I think the moon is less discussed when it comes to energies, and I think so are the other planets. The moon has its own signature energy, and it is the lesser light, as the scriptures tell us, for the evening. If you think about the moon and you think about the effects it has on the ocean tides and how it has effect on water, moons affect the tides, affects the ocean. It pulls it creates currents in the ocean. And if you think about the ocean is mainly made up of water and salt. And if you think about yourself, your body, what is it made up of mostly of? Water and salt. You have a lot of salt. You have other things, potassium, nitrogen, all these other things. Salt is a very important, next to potassium, one of the most important electrolyte in your body. And I am a nurse. You know how the sodium potassium pump works in the body. As sodium goes in, potassium comes out. As potassium goes in, sodium goes out. When you study fluid and electrolytes, anatomy and physiology, you would know that because you would have to obviously study that course as a prerequisite for your medical training. The ocean's like a salt battery. So the moon works the same way. The moon is basically like a lesser battery. Like the sun is like a big charged battery. That's how we charge our batteries when you got solar light. It's like the mainframe battery outside. The moon works the same way, and the scriptures even tell us the moon is the lesser light for the night. It's just like the sun. It produces electricity. It has a current. It produces electricity. It produces light, and that electromagnetic effect that it has is actually what is responsible for the tides of the ocean and the pooling of the water. Your body's made of water, like 75-80% water. If the moon has such a strong effect on the tides and currents, the water moving in the ocean, which is made of salt and water, how much of more of an effect is it having on you, which is also made of water and has salt in it? If it can do that to an ocean, it can do it to you. It's creating turbulency in you. Is that even a word? I know turbulent is. I just kind of added the CY on it. Maybe it is. But if it's not, I just created a new word, turbulency. I've never used that before. That was fun. I'm gonna have to look that up. If it's not a word, it's my new word now, so don't take it. Turbulency, it creates a turbulent state within you just like it does an ocean. And here's the kicker. The more salt you have in your body because you ate a very highly salty meal, think about how much more agitated that moon is going to make you on like a full moon night. Whenever you boil water on the stove, to get the water to boil more aggressively, to get the water agitated, you add salt to it. Everybody knows this that cooks. And that was one of the first things I learned when I was younger, is always add salt to your water. It raises the temperature of the water. You actually learn this. This was taught to us in elementary school. We learned that salt raises the conductivity of the water, which causes it to boil at a higher boiling point quicker. It creates a more agitated state in the water and makes it bubble and boil more ferociously. If it can do that to water on a stove, what do you think it's doing to you when you have excess salt in your body? You know, because you've ate a really salty meal. And you got a full moon, it's affecting the water in the ocean. What do you think it's doing to you? What do you think it's doing to your brain? It explains why on full moon nights, or leading up to a full moon, when the moon is waxing, that's when it's building up, and then waning is the moon going the other way. It's lessening. When it's building up and waxing up to a full moon, the energies are affecting you, you know, several days before the actual full moon. The full moon is when it's actually at its peak, you know, magnitude or highest power, highest charge. Oh, I'm getting ringing in my left ear. Here we go. That happens quite a bit to me. Guess I'll go into that on another video one day. Just think about the salt in your body, what that's doing to you, what that does to a lot of, especially elderly patients. They seem to have issues with that. They seem to be really affected. Well, babies seem to be affected as well. They seem to be a little bit crankier on full moons. You know, animals, obviously, you know about the wolves howling on full moons. You know, animals seem to have a reaction to that. So it is affecting you. It is affecting and creating some kind of electromagnetic charge based on the water in your body and the salt in your bodies. You can just see, even in nature, all around you, energy constantly at work, affecting you in different ways and doing different things. Just look around you, look at nature, look at how it performs, look at how it behaves. And that is a good indicator of kind of how really life is. I can answer a lot of your questions that we're stumped on, that we don't understand, and we look to science, all the answers, and really you don't even need that. The answers are right in front of you with your own eyes. Just open them and look. You know, look at how the moon is affecting the water in the ocean. What do you think it's doing to you? You know, I don't think people really think about things like that. And these are common sense things. These are fundamentals, like I said, laws and rules, and that everybody should understand and know. So I highly suggest getting a download. There's tons of them. Download a free cycle app on your keep up with those moon cycles. It's really good to know where the moon is sitting, when it's full, when it's lesser. This is going to let you know how that's affecting you from day to day. Are you going to be in a more highly agitated state? If you are, then it's probably not a good idea for you to be doing A, B, and C on this day, because you're probably going to be more agitated on that day than on, you know, this day. So it's just, that's what I use it for. I really use it as a guide for, like I said, my time, you know, my menstrual time, but I also use it for to know, how am I going to be feeling this day? Or how could I possibly be feeling a week from now when I go to this party? Is it something that I think I might want to do? When you know that the moon is coming, you know that it's going to be more in a higher magnitude, you can pay attention more to yourself. You can be more self-aware of your behaviors that day. It's getting amplified out there with the moon, so I need to really be careful, because that can really affect me, you know, mentally, or affect me emotionally. And the moon is known to affect your emotions from day to day. It can affect your menstrual cycle. So planting and harvesting is also done by the sun and the moon cycles. That's why you have Farmer Almanac, which explain to you and tell you when the best time is to plant certain seeds and harvest certain crops and that sort of thing. You know, they go by these cycles. They depend on these cycles. They have for centuries. And they still do today. It's just something a lot of people don't know about unless you're a farmer, or you grew up on a farm, or near people that had one, or knew people that had one. You're probably not going to know that information. Most city folk, that's all they've ever known is a city. They're probably not going to know this information, that yes, these farmers go by moon and sun cycles. And you should too. You should be guiding your daily thinking habits and moods and menstrual cycles and all that by the moon as well. There's nothing witchy or crazy or weird about that. I think people, the less knowledge and information they have, they tend to go straight to, oh, that's weird, they shouldn't be messing with that. That's not from the Lord. Like, okay, well, I guess all these farmers must be sinners and not from the Lord, because they use the moon cycles to do all their planting and harvesting. So I guess they're all witches too. I didn't mean to go that extreme. Nothing against anybody that, you know, that's a witch or anything like that. I'm just letting people know these videos are for anybody. Anybody that needs this knowledge, a Christian, a non-Christian, atheist, whoever you are, if you don't know this information, you should be understanding it and learning it. These are just fundamentals. You should be knowing and learning about these moon cycles and about how they're affecting you from day to day, how they're affecting your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your menstrual cycles, planting and harvesting cycles, these sort of things. So also, it can also help you understand and regulate better your emotions and stuff around others, like their emotions. You're not going to be able to regulate necessarily their emotions, but you can keep an eye on them and understand, oh, we got a moon coming. My kids might get a little funky this weekend. It's just something that's good to keep up with. Or, even in the workplace, full moon's coming, it may get a little crazy around the workplace. And that's just something that you might want to keep yourself educated on, so that you're not, taking it personally so much and thinking, why is everybody in here against me? Why is everybody in here just seem like they're all crying and sad and agitated? Well, oh yeah, it's a full moon, isn't it? Oh, in 2 days it's a full. Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, and then it's easier to excuse that and give people the grace that they deserve, because it affects people whether they realize it or not. It really does. And sometimes it can make you forgetful. Sometimes it can make you moody. Sometimes it can make you tearful. Sometimes it can make you reflect. It is a time to reflect. So it can just affect different people in different ways. And that's just a good thing to know, because when that's happening, like I said, it can allow you to have a little bit more grace with people during those periods, because you understand, hey, we're all caught up under the effects of this electromagnetic thing that we have no control over. So we can't do anything about it, right? We can't change the fact that happens, but we can be better at monitoring it, journaling that. And that's a good thing to do as well. I've started doing that as well. Journaling, like, how did I feel when the moon was here? How did I feel when the moon was, passing through this constellation? Oh, it was passing through the constellation of Gemini at this time. Well, that explains why I was a little, off, out of my, no, I'm not picking on Gemini. I'm just saying, they are a busier kind of, and so it's known that to have that, contain that kind of energy is like a busy energy. But we're talking about energies here. I'm not doing astrological readings on people, okay? So don't get caught up in that and think, oh, well, she's trying to do astrology. I'm sorry to tell you, but there are such things as constellations. This is what they're named. And they all do carry an energy signature. And I need to understand that, because when the moon passes through these constellations, they are taking on that identity or that energetic feeling and vibe of what constellation they're going through. So on those moon apps, it will tell you what constellation the moon is in. So in Cancer, the energies that will exude will be more of an energy of reflection, of inner reflection. So that would be a time where a lot of people would be like going inward and thinking more inwardly, versus when it's in a sign of, like, let's say Leo, when it was there, it caused you to be more bold. The energies associated with that and the pull it had on that was more like a bold signature, more like confident. That's the word I was looking for. I do know on those days I seem more confident. I don't really like to get out and be, I can chit chat, but a lot of times I do like to keep to myself and keep my thoughts to myself. And I did realize on that day I was extra confident in chatting to people more than I normally am. And I didn't even realize it was in Leo that day. And then I was like, you know what? I thought about it when I got home. I was like, I sure felt confident today for some reason. And I thought, wait a minute. I bet the moon's in Leo, isn't it? Sure enough, I pulled it up and bam. You can't make this stuff up. Moon was in Leo. And I was like, there you go. So I was feeling that. I was literally totally feeling that. It really is good to have an understanding of those energies and how they affect you from day to day. Works the same way with the sun. When the sun is in a certain constellation, it can also have an effect on you. So that goes from month to month. It's called a solar transit. When you're looking at the moon and what sign it's in from day to day, that's called a lunar transit. When you're looking at the sun, you look at it from month to month, and that's a solar transit. The lunar transit changes about every 2 to 3 days. So every 2 to 3 days, the moon goes into a different constellation. Every month, the sun goes into a different constellation. And it even works like that hour to hour. So every 2 hours, starting with 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., you're in Aries. And from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., you're in Taurus. And from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, you're in Gemini. And so on and so on, and going through all 12 of them. Actually, there's 13. We'll get into that another day. There's a Ophiuchus, has been totally forgotten about. If you're going by the actual true original 13 constellations, they tend to leave out Ophiuchus, and only talk about the 12. You really need to go by the sidereal version, older, more ancient version, where you're including Ophiuchus, because that is a constellation that the sun and moon do pass through, and so that does need to be taken into account. It is very important to pay attention to these cycles. And this is what the scriptures even talk about. It talks about moons. It talks about the cycles. It talks about the seasons. It talks about there is a time, there is a season, there's a time to plant, a time to sow, a time to reap, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to have joy, a time to have sadness, a time to cast away stones or whatever, and that song by the Birds. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a purpose under heaven. They're talking about the constellations. They're talking about the zodiac and the constellations. Even if you think astrology is from the devil, whatever, you have to understand constellations. You have to understand the zodiac cycle for you to understand anything, because even our planting and harvesting is done by the zodiac cycle, and that's just a fact. I don't know why people want to say it's okay to do that, but then they don't understand how those energies are affecting them from day to day. They are. And what you don't know, like I told you before, it's working against you. What you're not aware of, it's working against you. Now, I'm not saying go out and get an astrological reading and finding out who you're going to marry tomorrow, and if you're going to have 5 kids, and what their names are going to be, and that is astrology reading. I'm talking about our calendar in the sky, in the heaven, and the scriptures clearly talk about it. It clearly talks about the calendar in the sky. It talks about how it keeps up with the seasons. It talks about the constellations. It talks about the stars. It talks about everything is done under a certain time in heaven. That is the heavenly calendar. If you are not aware of how the heavenly calendar works, it's working against you. You have to be in rhythm with it. It's like if you're not in rhythm with the seasons, you don't dress for the seasons, it's going to hurt you. You need to be aware of how the seasons work. Oh, well, in the fall, it gets a little chilly. In the winter, it's cold. Wear warm clothes. In the summer, do this, and so on and so forth. And if you don't keep up with those cycles, those seasons, and that heavenly calendar, it works against you. I think a lot of people are scared to go into those waters and those territories because of the scriptures that say this is bad and that's wrong and this is an abomination and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. You read that, but then you read parts in the Bible where it clearly tells you that these are calendars that we should be paying attention to, that is telling us when to do certain things and how they're affecting us. You should be aware of how that works. We're not predicting the future here with it. That's different. That's divination. We're using it as a tool, just like you're using the calendar as a tool. You're using that as the heavenly calendar. It's the first original calendar before our paper calendars came out. It was the original calendar. This is how all our ancestors knew when to get married, when to have a baby, when to have their period, when to plant something, when to grow something, when to harvest it, when to cleanse themselves, sacrifices, when to do certain holy days and certain ceremonies and feasts. They understood, they knew those cycles and how they worked and how those energies affected people from day to day, and you should too. This is 20-something years of compacted information I'm giving to you in one video. Try almost 30 years of finding this information, looking for it, researching it, studying it, comparing notes, thinking about it, reflecting on it, praying about it, asking for guidance about it, asking for clarity on those things, speaking to others, getting clarity from them, figuring out on my own, trying different things and methods and modalities to see if it's true, if it works, if it's, accurate. 20, 30 years of that. And I'm passionate about it. I love sharing it with people. And if you have ears to hear, the people have ears to hear, let them hear. You know, the scripture's saying that. Most people don't want to listen. They shut their ears, they shut their heart, they shut their eyes, they shut their mind because of indoctrination, and they're told, don't go there. Don't listen to that. Don't do that. You know, they're also told not to drink raw milk, and that's all anybody ever drank for centuries. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of lies and health scares that they put out there to keep people away from the truth, to keep people indoctrinated and in bondage and slaves to the system, instead of just being honest and letting people, you know, continue to live the healthy, natural, original, organic way that God created us to live, Yahuwah created us to live. There's all these rules and regulations on everything saying, no, you can't have this because it has bacteria in it. Really? Really? No. No, I drink raw milk. We buy raw milk. It is expensive. It's pretty expensive because we use it in everything. We cook with it. My kids drink it as their main drink along with water. We don't drink anything else. I love talking about this. This is definitely a topic I enjoy. I enjoy talking about the solar system. I enjoy talking about the constellations and the energies of the moon and the sun, and how and even other planets have energetic energies that affect us from day to day. And speaking on the moon, since we're on that topic, I have done research on the moon. I know, you know, with the moon landing, you know, in the 50s or 60s or whatever it was, shortly after NASA was created. I think I want to say it was like in 67 or 69 or something like that is when NASA was created. So it hasn't really been around as long as people think it has. Everybody, you know, talks about the moon landing and how it was faked. I tend to believe it was faked. I've done enough research over the years and gather data on that to know and believe for myself. And I don't get upset when people want to believe that. You know, everybody has their own thinking and beliefs, but I do get upset when people want to trash my beliefs and think I'm crazy or loony or lunar, no pun intended, because I believe that we didn't go to the moon. You know, but there's just as much evidence out there that we didn't as there is that we did. And the evidence I've seen that we didn't really blows away any evidence that we did, because as I look at the evidence that we did, a lot of it looks faked and green screen. I'm like, oh yeah, and water bubbles and all this stuff in there where it looks like it was filmed in an underground tank underwater. And so there's just too many discrepancies there. And I have thoroughly researched this over the last 15 years and watched every video you can think of that's out there. Listen to Buzz Aldrin, who before he died literally stated we never did go to the moon. He came out several times about that. And just think about that. When people are on their deathbed and they're about to die, they usually get really honest before they die. A lot of them do. They come out with truth like, hey, you know, I cheated on you all these years. By the way, I had a mistress. By the way, I'm gay. Or by the way, I have this or that. Or, by the way, I robbed a bank. A lot of people tend to get really clear and honest before they pass away. I do know that. The last thing you want to do before you die is lie, especially when you not sure what's out there afterwards, where you're going to go. I would think most people want to clear their conscience before they left this earth, and Buzz Aldrin seemed to have cleared his conscience before he left this earth and told everybody that we never went to the moon. It was a hoax. It was a lie. And he seems to be the only one that came out to do that. You can go see the video clips for yourself. And he's even talking to little kids in elementary school. And a child was asking him, like, what was it like when you went to the moon? And blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, I could tell you, but, you know, we didn't go there. And he was just very frank and honest with her. And you could tell this little kid's, like, looking at him, like, just shocked, like, what? I thought you were supposed to be telling me about your experiences at the moon. And here this guy was, you know, going the other way and telling him, you know, like, we never went there. So that is something to look into. Just check that out. If the moon isn't a big solid rock like they claim that can be landed on, then what is it? Well, the current knowledge I have at this time, from what I've studied and researched, it's actually made of plasma, which is a substance that's not kind of been forgotten about, and it's not really talked about or discussed a lot. Sort of like ether, right? That used to be on the periodic table. Why is it not on our periodic table anymore? Why was it removed from our periodic table? I'm sure that anybody prior to 1980, anybody in the 60s or 70s that went to school remembers ether being on the periodic table. And then suddenly it just, like, sometime during the 70s, I think it just suddenly magically disappeared off the periodic table. Why is that? It's a natural element. We do know we have ether. It exists. Oh yeah, that's right, because ether is what they use to conduct electricity naturally, like years ago, from buildings and stuff like that. And all the antennas on the buildings, that's what they were doing. They were conducting electricity. That's another video for another day. I'll go deep dive into that. I saw some videos, and there was a guy on a news report where he had clearly come out and stated that the moon, and this was like a black and white video. I want to say it was filmed in like the 60s or something like that. I think this was pre-NASA, before NASA was founded. And this guy is clearly on this news network, and this guy's got a microphone in his face, and he's talking to him about the moon. And he's like, well, well, we could do this or we could do that, but the moon is made of plasma, so it's kind of impossible to do that. And I was like, what? He's talking about the moon being made of plasma. That's so funny, because when NASA popped up all of a sudden, just like out of nowhere in the late 60s, all of a sudden now it's a solid rock just floating around because of gravity in our outer space, and people are landing on it, when prior to that it was known to be plasma. Like, it's just something really to think about and look into. It's really interesting. Since we're on the topic of the moon, I'll just bring up this last point before I shut this down. You can go look into this yourself, but there's lots of videos out there of the moon. There's lots of videos on showing plasma. If you think about your TV, like you have a plasma TV, right? The plasma TV is reflective. As you look at a TV, it lights up, it glows just like a moon does. It's a soft light. It's not a bright light like a sun that blinds you. It is a very soft light that your eyes can look at. And that soft glow, that soft light, has a mirroring effect, does it not? The moon, I've seen lots of videos and pictures and still shots of the moon, and the craters that are on the moon that they say are craters. According to the scientific research I've looked into, those aren't craters. They are a reflection of the earth below. And that's all the moon is doing. It's a plasma disk that is mirroring the continents below. Take a flat earth map, a round flat earth map, okay, that has the ice wall going all the way around it. Take one of those, and then take a still shot of the moon with its supposed craters, and transpose the images over each other, or just look at them side by side, and you will notice the craters line up almost identically perfect with the continents. So that crater that's kind of shaped like Africa literally lines up with the continent Africa. And then if you look up, this continent over here that's shaped like Europe lines up perfectly with this shape on this map of Europe. It's crazy. Look into that. First time I ever saw that, I was blown away. If it's made of plasma, then it does have some kind of electromagnetic properties, because plasma is it does carry electric current. So that makes sense how that would affect the ocean, how it affects the tides, how it affects the waters in your body. It completely makes sense how it affects planting and harvesting crops, why it glows, why it has that soft glow, just like a soft TV. Like you see a TV through somebody's window at night, it has a soft glow, almost identical to the moon. And I know this may sound crazy, but I've looked into this for 15 years, and it's very interesting, even if it's not true, okay? Because nobody can 100% prove that that's true. We're going based on just what we have given to us down here. So everybody has different opinions on everything. We got to look at things like that. And when we look at like the moon, and is it plasma or is it a rock? Does it really affect our energies or does it not? You could choose to believe what you want to believe, but based on the 15 years of research that I've done, just on the moon, I am 100% convinced it is plasma. It is reflecting our continents down below as like a mirror. And what you're seeing is craters are not really craters. It's a dulled, mirrored reflection of the continents below. I know that because it is made of plasma, the effects that has, the electromagnetic type effects that it has, or the current, the electrical current type effects that it has on human behavior, on water, on the ocean, on people, on animals, on plants, on all of life on Earth. Just like the sun has an effect on all of life on Earth, the moon does too. It absolutely 100% does. I believe that. Heart, mind, and soul.